Dun, dun, dun. All right, it says we are being live streamed. Of course, Zoom always connects over with YouTube and says, "Are we truly being live?" And I believe that we are. So, that being the case, welcome to another episode of Pinpoint Coaching with the lovely Krista Thag.
Hello.
So, so let us get started. We are going to talk about something that is near and dear to all of our hearts, especially Krista's. How do I know when to stop working on my business and yet still remain profitable?
Yep.
I see that as a really huge problem in our marketplace today because there are so many out there who are just striving to get it done, but they don't realize the result of what they're doing. They're doing the thing that they think is going to get them a result, but they're not paying attention to the results they're actually getting. And we call this what, Krista?
Oh boy. I should know this, shouldn't I?
You should, because you just got done saying it before we hit live.
Uh, wow.
You're right. Busy work.
Oh, well, that was a brain fart and a half for you.
Right? Because sometimes, I mean, like Krista just told me, I mean, what's your plan for this weekend? What are you going to do as far as work this weekend?
Well, I've found that over time, well, I'll actually answer your question because that's a good idea, right? So initially what I said was, I'm going to just unplug for this weekend. I've been doing a lot of, busy work. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I just need to unplug and get away. But I made the mistake of saying, I will come back and plug right back in, which you very aptly told me, whoa, hold on a minute.
Okay, why do you think it's important for you to just unplug for the weekend? Why is that a vital thing that you think you have to do? Wouldn't you get more done if you just kept right on working, pushing through?
Oh, because I've been doing that and I'm realizing how unhealthy that can be. While I absolutely love what I do, and I think that's a huge driving force for me, when I get so hyper focused on the work, I completely disregard my business hours and it's almost like a hyper focused obsession. And the important things in life really kind of start to go to the wayside, spending time with the people I love, actually eating sometimes, the necessities and essentials just kind of like whoop, gone. And that leads to huge burnout and effectively lower productivity than like I had in the beginning.
Yeah, I definitely am with you on the whole eating thing. There's been many a times where I like finish up a call and I'm like, man, I got to go grab some breakfast. And I go downstairs and I walk in the kitchen, I look at the clock and I'm like, it's 4:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
I haven't had breakfast. And I've been going since 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah,
Like,
sorry about that, by the way. No.
wow. Right? And it's like, wow, I should probably get back to that. But something I want to refer back to there for just a second. Aren't you the boss? Don't you work for yourself?
I mean, that's kind of a misnomer though, isn't it? Because I've heard when you're the boss, you're in control of the situation, but also when you're the boss, you work the hardest. So I think there's kind of
Yeah, but the question is, aren't you the boss?
well, yeah,
Then what do you mean work outside of your work hours? You start working outside your work hours. Don't you just work whenever you want?
I do. I mean, that's the short answer.
But if you just work whenever you want, how can that be outside of your work hours?
Well, learning about healthy boundaries in business, which was something, I was a hot mess with initially because I was like, oh, if I work when I want to, I found myself working all the time. And, again, I'm going to use the word burnout because
Yep.
I found myself working, I should say, not working, working with air quotes. Like I went from having some harmony and actual like activity outside of work to constantly being a slave to my business.
So what did you do to fix that though? What was the solution that you came up with?
The solution that, ultimately worked the best was formatting my day in such a way where I worked for a chunk of time took a break, but I also had a designated start and end point to my day.
Mm.
And as you said, it's near and dear to my heart because I think, like most people, you start a cycle and then you get lax about it.
Right. Yeah, I think it ties a lot directly into Parkinson's law. Without trying to quote it, it really means you're going to take as much time as you give yourself to get something done. If you're gonna make a sale within the first 60 days, you're probably going to make it on day 58 or 59, if not 60. But if
Yeah.
you say, I got to make a sale before the weekend is over, chances are you're still going to make that one sale because you've set that defined period of time and says it has to be within. So your mind's leeway is much more focused because there's only this much time to get it done. And we all know that we run hardest at the end of the race.
Right.
Even sprinters will give just a little bit more at the end of the race, even when they're giving everything that they can from the beginning to the end, because when they get to the end, they find that little extra reserve to push us through. And I know, because I was a runner when I was younger. Now I just walk fast. Why run? I'll just leave earlier and we're good, right?
Right.
That used to be my biggest joke when I was driving back and forth to work, as we'd pass this guy on a bicycle every single day. And I was young and stupid and not a nice person at the time. And I'd always hang out the window. I'd be like, if you just left earlier, you'd have been there by now, and we'd always crack jokes. Well, then it got to the point where I actually started riding my bike to work. And I'd see all these cars stuck in traffic and these irritated faces. And I'm like, if y'all just leave earlier and ride a bike, you'd be like me and pass everybody. And so there was a little shift, like, just leave earlier. Don't stress yourself. Just give yourself a little bit more time. Well, then I got into business. I said, start giving yourself less time. Give yourself less time and you'll find out that you'll accomplish more. I tried explaining to somebody actually been about 3 times in the last week. I've explained to people how I can work 28 hours a day and still spend 8 hours a day with my family. And they look at it like, dude, there's only 24 hours. I was like, well, in your day. But what's 24 hours? What's an hour? What's a minute? It's just a space that we've used to measure time.
Yeah.
So I just say, well, I've got to get this done, instead of saying I got to get this done in 1 hour because I only have 8 hours in my work day. My hour is 20 minutes.
Oh, okay.
So I get 3 hours for every one of yours.
Oh, wow. Because you're taking time as a unit of measurement and not a solid, reliable.
Not minutes on a clock, but this is my work segment. What do I have to get accomplished within this time? And then I block it out over 20-minute segments, which is my hours. It's like, this is 1 hour. Now I can comfortably say that because I can accomplish twice in my hour what the average person accomplishes in theirs, because I only work on that top 10, 15% of the most productive activities in my day. Which is why I can sit here and have conversations for 2.5 hours with somebody and be totally relaxed, because I did 8-10 hours worth of work before they started their day.
That makes sense.
So I can relax and just enjoy the day. And when you're not stressed, you have the ability to accomplish things a little bit more effectively. So tying it in and saying, I only have this much time to do my daily tasks makes you stay on track.
Okay, that makes sense.
Like you said, I found out when I just gave myself a structured time period, I found I was more effective. Because if you just I work whenever I want, it always ends up in one of two places. They either end up not working because they can do it later, or they start working and forget to live their life.
I've been in both.
Yeah, right? Because it's like one or the other in the extreme. Either you're going to forget to go to work because
Right.
hey, you're the boss, I can do whatever I want, or hey, I'm the boss, I got to make this work. You get zeroed in and you just stay busy all the time and you forget to live your life.
Right.
There's a reason that they structure the average 8 or 10 hour work day for employees. It's an optimal amount of time before productivity starts to drastically drop off.
Oh, wow.
So what do? We do things like give them breaks. Why? Because every time you take a break, you recharge and start back at your focus.
Okay.
So if you just worked, you do this in productivity over time.
Yep.
But if you do this and you start to wane and they give you a break, you go right here. And then you work and you get a break and then they get you up here. And then you work and you do a break and then they bring you up here. That means the whole day you're running at 85, 90%.
Oh, wow.
Versus if you start here and you just slope off throughout the day, you may have an overall productivity of 55 to 60.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Wow.
So having those little break points, why do you think I work 20-minute segments? Because that way when I'm working, I'm at peak level the whole time that I'm working. And giving that little break and just saying, okay, what do I need to accomplish in this next time block? Okay, cool. Like most people are like, oh man, I've got Saturday to do all of my, I got to get 5 videos for TikTok on Saturday, right? And their whole Saturday afternoon is shot because they're trying to figure out these videos. And I go, I got 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I need 5 videos. What am I going to do for the other 9 minutes? Because all I'm going to do is I'm going to sit there and say, okay, well, what can I share with people that's going to be valuable? And I'm going to write out a list of topics. And then I'm going to pick up my iPad and I'm going to go record. And I'm going to talk about it. Because if I can't just talk about it without preparing for it, I probably shouldn't be teaching on it.
Yeah, that
Pretty
makes
simple.
sense. Right.
Right? If you have to do a whole lot of preparation on it, you probably shouldn't be teaching on it. You don't know it well enough. And one of the things that I like to tell people is like, you can learn an immense amount from me, but until you can clearly teach it to someone else, you don't know it yet.
Yep.
And
You've said that to me more than once.
Yep. So I give people opportunity to be like, hey, why don't you go ahead and tell them?
Okay.
And they go, okay, cool. Now I know where we need to work. So yeah, setting those parameters is what allows us to actually remain effective and profitable in our business. Because when we don't have those boundaries, the opportunity to fail is boundless.
Very true.
I got all day to screw it up. But when you have a limited amount of time, you start paying attention to the activities that you're doing and saying, okay, I've only got X amount of time. What do I need to do to get a result? Instead of, oh, I've got all day to get this done, and oh, I should probably work on this, and maybe I should do this, and oh, I should tweak the website and make sure that the copy is really good. 3/4 of the way down, where maybe 5% of the people will actually read. You know, but there's something about it, and they'll spend 20 minutes trying to fix that one sentence that hardly anybody will ever see. And I look at them and go,
Wow.
why don't you spend 10 minutes instead working on your communication skills so that by the time they hit your landing page, they're already pre-enrolled, and the only thing they're looking for is, where do I sign up or buy? Wouldn't that be more effective?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but if it's what we use is when we give ourselves too much time to get something done, we use that as an opportunity of finding things to keep ourselves busy, because we've got all that time. We have to fill it with something.
Yeah.
So we do what, Krista? We do
busy work,
right?
I got it this time.
Right. Because we're trying to stay busy. We've got all day long. And if I'm at work, I should be accomplishing something.
Filling the hours
with work. Or you could say, no, I have a deadline in 3 hours to get everything done that I didn't do yesterday and today's work. Because on my schedule, I have time at the park. And that's a non-negotiable. And I tell you, if a walk, just a walk outside, is on your schedule and you treat it like it's a meeting with the chief executive officer of a multi-million-dollar company, your life will start being much, much better. And the profitability of your business will be much better. Because when you prioritize the things that will increase the quality of your life, it will naturally carry over and increase the profitability of your business.
Wow. That makes a lot of sense.
And that's why it's like, when do you draw the line? When do you stop working so that you can become profitable? Right?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna pick on you here for a second,
Go ahead.
but I've taught you for over a year, and you've sat in while I teach other people for over a year on Facebook. Don't drop a sales page link. Don't do it. Start a conversation, engage with them, connect with your customer, enjoy building that connection. And I did what? I made the mistake last night of checking my notifications on multiple different platforms just to see where everybody was at. And here's a great video with your link under it. Now, just for everybody's viewing pleasure, did you do that within your work hours?
Nope. Let's see. I was over by, I think I was over by 2.5 hours.
Yeah. And what do we do when we hit that point? How did you say it? What would you say you do? You start doing what?
How did I say it that time? Silly things or making big mistakes.
Yeah, you start doing silly things and making big mistakes. But now you're going to have to work twice as hard to rectify the situation, because the situation isn't go back and change the link, swap out the link. That's the first step. But now you've got to rebuild everything that you've done within the algorithm and how it classifies your content to be like, no, she's not a spammer who posts buy now links. Now you got to rebuild that. And worse yet is luckily there was hardly any views on it. So, because you posted it late and we were able to catch it. But that's a mistake where now you may have to spend the next 2 months rebuilding that trust factor with your audience again. Now, is that effective to work an extra 2 hours so that you can add 2 months of relationship building back in to repair a damaged connection with your audience? That's not effective.
No.
Now, that's 2 months that sets you back 2 months. And since in business, everything should have an exponential curve, setting you back 2 months could cost you 4 or 5 months worth of potential profit simply because we worked too late.
Wow. Never saw it that way before, but holy moly.
Yeah, because when we look at it, if the curve goes like this, right? But we take that whole curve and we set it back 1 month, that means that extra month could have been way up here. You guys can't even see it because the exponential curve would have landed you way up there, but instead you started that third month right down at the bottom again.
Oof.
And now you got to wait that extra 3 months to get back up to the top. So where you would have been in a month had you continued to do it right because you stayed within your schedule and your boundaries of business, it could have taken you 1 month to double that position in your business. And now it's going to take you a total of 5 months because it's the first 2 months, which you flushed, plus another 3 months to start from the bottom and work you back up to the top of the 3.
Right. That real math that we've talked about in the past.
That real math, right? So when you know how to exponentially change things within your business, one mistake could turn 2 months worth of work into a 5-month wait to get to the same point.
Oof. Wow.
Yeah. Can you imagine? It only sets you back 1 month or 2 months.
But the reality of the situation.
But it costs you 5 months to get where it would have taken you just 1 more month.
Wow.
It'll be a total journey of 5 months when it should have been 3, and you should have hit it in another 30 days, but now you're back at 0. Okay. And it's not all about numbers because we're talking about this is like connection with your audience too, because that grows exponentially. I mean, you're like right here when you say, hey, what's up, man? Good to meet you. But the next time it's, hey, man, good to meet you. Hey, man, good to meet you. Want to come hang out? Hey, man, want to come over to our barbecue and hang out, meet the family, some of my friends? Yeah, cool. Boom. After that, they're sitting right up here laughing, joking, and knowing everybody that you know, they're part of the crew now. And it's you start at here, but those little changes all of a sudden go really fast. But if you start here and then you know, borrow their car and don't bring it back, you're right down to the bottom again. Like one
Right.
mistake, you know. So we got to think about that, and I think a lot of that has to do with how do we treat them every single day.
Mm.
And we can stay more focused when we keep our boundaries tight, because then we're very intentional about what it is that we're doing during those times.
Right. I guess if we're not treating ourselves well, how can we expect to treat our audience well?
Right. Right. You know me, I'm really big on, if you're going to work with me, then you have to spend a specific amount of time working on your personal care, self-care, self-love,
Oh yeah.
taking care of you. You know, and if you do that and you're a client, you're rewarded by me. I'm not going to tell everybody how I do that, but you're rewarded by me, and you're penalized by me if you don't.
Yep.
You know, and it's my motivator to be like, hey, it's like I'm gonna give you a break. I'm gonna help you if you're willing to help yourself. But if you're not caring for yourself, I don't care either. Like, you wanna leave you out of it, then we'll just be business. You want to put you into it? I'm doing this long enough. I know we are a part of our business, therefore we need to take care of ourselves. So if you take care of us, you take care of you, I will help you take care of you and your business.
Yeah.
Because it's so vital that we stop working so that we can continue to care for ourselves. Sometimes caring for ourselves is stopping to go hang out with mom, or to get on a call with dad, or to hang out with the kids, or it's just to go outside and go for a walk in the yard.
Yeah.
Because where do we find inspiration in life if we're sitting there staring at the computer? The
You're
only
not.
the only input we have is whatever the world feeds us via the internet.
Right. And then you get those lifestyle posts with people, holding their laptop out in the park, sitting in their car with the laptop.
Yep. You know, and then all of a sudden we start believing that that's what it looks like.
Yeah. And that's
And
what it
it's like,
has to look like.
why can't I have that? Why can't I? Well, because you're not leaving your house, for one. Two, it's not practical at all. And if you're really living the life, why do you have your laptop at the park? If it gives you freedom to live the life that you want, why are you sitting at the sandy beach sipping a pina colada, getting drunk with your laptop?
Right.
Like, I get it. You want to show me pictures of you on a yacht? Go for it. But please, don't tell me that you're having a yacht party with your laptop set up in the captain's quarters so you can work.
Right.
Just be real. You guys had a successful month. You all pooled together. You rented a yacht to go out for the weekend.
Oh, but we can't forget our best employee, the laptop.
Right? You know, it's like just like if you're having success, there's nothing wrong with that. That's good. I have success. I just do things different with my success than a lot of people do. Or do I?
We'll never know.
The question is, or do I?
Mm.
The question is, do I really do things that much different than the average person that succeeds?
Oh.
Because the people that we see living the lifestyle,
Mhm.
that's a very small slice of the people who are successful. Generally speaking, the ones who are really, truly successful aren't wasting their time trying to document their success. They're enjoying their success.
Mm.
Because the people who are documenting their success to get people to buy obviously really don't have much freedom from their business. If even their private time, they're having to take that and turn it into a business asset.
Right.
Not quite as successful as we want to call it, right?
Right.
You know, and for some people, that is their life. That is what they want success to be. It's about just getting and attaining more. And if that's it, cool. You can work your entire life. Do what you love, man. I used to work as a household mover, and I would work, so this will scare some people, anywhere from 12 to 19 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I did that for multiple years.
That's a lot of hours.
It's a lot of hours. It's a lot of abuse on the body, but I loved what I did.
What
Because you
made
know
you love
what?
it?
To be real, the reason I loved it was simple. I was able to do something exceptionally well that the majority of people in our country didn't have the physical ability or know-how to do, but needed to get done.
Okay.
Okay. Um, like my mom. We'll just take my parents, right? Because this is easy. My mom had a big upright piano, right?
Okay. Yep.
They're moving.
Mhm.
They have no choice. They're moving. They can't just let it sit there. It's got to come with them. But do you think my 50-year-old mom and my dad were going to pick up a piano and put it up in the back of a U-Haul and haul it to their new home and then move it in?
I mean, probably
No,
not.
no. They got one of three options, right? Hire a moving company to come pick it up and put it in a truck and drive it over there.
Mhm.
Leave it, whether it be just leave it in the house or sell it. In which, if they did, somebody would have to come pick it up and move it where it needed to go.
Right.
Or, Chad, no moving company, no team, just Chad. I would drive up with my equipment and I could go in and take her entire upright piano, take it out of the house, put it down, put it up in the truck, strap it to the wall by myself. Because I knew how to do it. Not because I'm Hercules. I mean, that guy's a wimp. But no, it wasn't because of my size. It was because of years of experience. I knew how to do these things effectively.
And
I
it
used,
sounds like you had the right tools as
yeah,
well.
I had the right tools. I used physics instead of grunting. Little things like that. I'm not a small guy. Okay. But when it comes to the moving industry, I was not the biggest guy either.
Hmm.
We had a guy we called him Buck. His last name was Buckner. And dude was about 3 times my size. And he'd never moved with me in my company. And he got put out on a team with me, and he's like, "Man, what do you mean? There's like 4 pianos on this move." And they're like, "Yeah, that's why we sent Chad." He's like, "Chad, he's kind of small, man." All the way out, like 3 hour drive out to this guy's place.
Oh,
And the
geez.
whole ride out, I got Buckner sitting in there ragging on me because I can't believe I got stuck with you and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, "You got stuck with me? Okay." So we went down there, and with first piano, we got everything all set up right. And I reached down there and I grabbed, locked my arms in, stood up, and I was like, "All right, go ahead, Buck." And he puts his arms in there and he starts turning red and grunt. He goes, "You gonna pick yours up?" I'm like, "It is up." "What?" I'm like, "It's up. Can we go now?" He didn't understand it. He couldn't figure it out. I wasn't turning red. I weren't popping veins. He was. We got that one up, came back. I reached over, grabbed the next one, picked it up the end, and says, "You ready?" Because I knew how to do it.
Mm.
I knew the right tools. I knew where to grab it. I knew where to position my body. I knew exactly what height I had to be at when I latched on so that when I stood up, it was effortless. All of these things come into play. If you know what to do to be effective, it doesn't take you very long. And I had a partner that I worked with. He's a good guy, good mover. They would send us out on a 4-man move. They'd send another team out on another 4-man move. We'd come back, pick up the next move, and be halfway done with that before the first team was back from their move.
Wow.
Because I had a knack where I could literally walk in, I would walk the entire house, and then I'd come back and I'd tell Don, "All right, Don, I need dresser, top floor, right-hand side, first door on the left. Grab me the credenza on the right-hand side as soon as you walk in. When you're done with that, go back in, grab this, this, and this box, that box, this box. Grab the chest out of the master bedroom, end of the foot, bring it in here." And I would tell him exactly where it was, exactly what to pick up, in exactly what order. And he just, and I still do it today. I haven't moved in, well, I moved my stuff, but I haven't moved professionally in years. And if I walk in your home, don't make fun of me when I'm in the middle of a conversation and you watch me reach over and lift up the corner of your couch. It's just instinct to know exactly how heavy is the furniture, what's the tip point, where's the balance points. I could tell. I used to have a crew. They would come in and they'd be like downstairs. They've got a dresser. It's got to come up the stairs, right?
Okay. Yep.
I'd be up there doing paperwork, and they're going to go grab the couch first thing because we know there's a leather sofa, so it goes up in grandma's attic, right?
Right.
And I'd be doing paperwork, and I'd hear, Chad, what? Leather sofa. Yeah? Full size. Okay. Bottom of the stairs. Right hand turn. Ceiling light? No. All right. Put your front end down. Turn in with a slight left hand turn. Rotate it in until your feet are in. Then tip it up into the hallway or into the stairwell. Rotate it the other way. Tip it down 45 at an angle. Walk it up the stairs. Thanks. And the owner's going like, what? I was just, hang on, they'll be open in a minute. And we finish out the paperwork, and all of a sudden, there they go, walking past. And he looked at me kind of funny. He goes, it took us 4 of us to get it down there. He says, we tore up the walls getting that thing into the basement. I was like, well, sorry. He goes, we better go check the walls for damage. I was like, okay. And they go down there and they look, and there's no damage. There's no scuffs. There's no nothing. He's like, how'd you guys do that? I said, well, you know how we did it. I just told him you were right there. He goes, no, how did you do that? You couldn't even see it. I says, when you've seen thousands of homes, you already know what it looks like. I just got to know what he's moving. He goes, oh, all right. You know.
Well, that's a good point, though. That's foundational stuff, right?
Yeah. And see, if you know what's effective, you don't have to spend your day figuring out what to do next.
Noted. Yep, that's where I'm getting caught up for sure.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people get caught up there, all of the extraneous stuff, all the little details get overwhelming, and it's so easy to forget the fundamentals, the basics,
Yeah. I mean, see, I could give very simple direction on exactly what they needed to do. Do you know why? I wasn't worried about scuffing the wall.
Okay.
I wasn't lifting the furniture.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't holding a sofa halfway into a door where it was jammed. I just looked at the data. We have a full-size leather sofa. It's got a high back. They've got the end in. They ran into a stairwell, and it turns to the right. If it's down there, it went down. So I don't have to worry about the size. I know it fits.
Right.
It went down. I don't have to think about all those things. I just only have to, okay, what's the process? I don't have to think about picking it up or whether or not the idiot on the other side of the couch is going to do it right. That's not my problem. My job's to tell you how it works. So oftentimes we get so wrapped up in the mundane work of busy work, we never figure out what the important or the essential work is, and therefore we don't do the essential work consistent enough to know exactly what to do and how to do it each time.
Well, light bulb moment for me right there.
Right? So when we focus in, we figure out what's essential, the necessary work, the things that get you the result you're looking for.
Right.
And then we focus on saying, I've got to do this so consistently that I figuratively can do this from the other room.
I mean, you were actually doing it, but hey,
right.
In a figurative sense.
Yeah, but figuratively, like I should know this process so well, I shouldn't even have to be here to know what the next step is. I shouldn't have to be looking at my notes going, okay, what should I do? Now, how many times have we talked and we're talking and I'll be like, all right, now go over to the left-hand side, drop down to where it says list options. Okay, list options. Go a quarter of the way off to the right, look up to the top. You'll have 3 different settings. Drop to the center one that says personalized list. Personalized list. Click on that. Scroll all the way down to the bottom where it says snippet code. Take your snippet code, copy and paste it in the first part where it says text. Put your affiliate link in there. Make sure to go down to the bottom and hit save. How can I do that not looking at your computer?
That's fundamental. You've done it so many times, and that's a process that's vital to being successful in business.
And here's the kicker. I learned how to do that as a household mover.
Wow.
I learned how to see it and recognize the route to my end result. What
Mm.
order do things have to be done in? Where do I find each one of those steps? How do I incorporate that in a consistent sequence to make things happen? To the point where I don't even have to be there. You could have hopped on a Zoom call, or you could have picked me up on the phone. Because there's been times we've walked through some things and we're just on an audio call,
Right.
and I'll just walk you through what's on your screen. And
True.
sometimes with you and other people, you get click happy and you end up somewhere absolutely nowhere where you should be. And I was like, well, you went to the wrong spot. Go back over to the beginning, click on the list option. Start again, only click on what I tell you to click, you know, because I've been there so many times.
Yep.
And when you do that in your business, you'll find that you can get so much more done because you're not wasting time on clicks.
Mm.
It's like knowing where to categorize the things that are effective. Like we use Clipboard Pro in our business, right? Why is that so important? Because every single click you do costs you time.
Mm.
If I have to click over to my merchant account,
Yep.
and then click over onto product, and then click down to affiliate, and then click to there to where it says copy link. I mean, click, 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 click. That doesn't take very long, right? That's just a fraction of a second to go click.
Right.
But the page has to load. And we don't think about how much time is lost in that page loading because it's only 1-2 seconds.
Mm.
Maybe this one's 3 or 4 seconds, 5 seconds here, 6 seconds there, no big deal. But while that happens, you usually get distracted and you go check your notification because it's loading.
Yep.
Then you get wrapped up over there. That 5.5, 6 seconds worth of clicking now turns into 35, 40 seconds of your day, which is gone. But think about how many times you do a task, any task, and you could do hundreds of different tasks throughout your day times 30 seconds.
Wow. That adds up.
Just clicks alone could end up costing you how much? 100
Hours.
tasks, 100 tasks, 30 seconds apiece on average.
That's
That's
50
50 minutes worth of your
minutes.
time is gone,
Wow. Just
right?
a clicking.
Just in clicking. Now 50 minutes, they're like, well, that stuff needs to get done. That's no big deal, right? So we're going to get all crazy on people for just a second. We're going to take that 50 minutes a day.
Oh no.
Yeah,
It's getting real.
times 5, because we do it 5 days a week, right? And then we're going to take that 50 weeks out of the year because some people take vacation.
Some people.
Okay. And then we take the total minutes and we divide it by 60 minutes. And hey, guess what? You have just wasted 5 weeks. Over an entire month of working hours are gone clicking.
Wow.
But if we use something like Clipboard Pro, and no, we're not affiliates. No, we're not going to try and sell it to you. I'm not even going to tell you where to find the extension on Chrome. um, all you do is go right to the top of your browser and click on the icon and then drop down to your saved links and go click, paste. And because it's not a software deep programming or anything, it's not like click it and it opens up a page and then you find all this stuff. It's literally click it, drops down, you click again, and then you paste it where it needs to be. Now 30 seconds turns into 4.
Yeah.
So think 208 lost hours. Okay?
That's insane. Okay,
208 lost hours. Now we're going to run back. We're going to do that math again. This is really fun, but we'll do it at about 2-3 seconds. So we'll amp it up and go 4 seconds.
Okay.
4 seconds. 4 seconds for 100 tasks. So we have 100 tasks times 4 seconds divided by 60 seconds in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Let's try that again. Ah, 4 seconds per task.
Yep.
Times 100 tasks. divided by 60 seconds. That's 6 minutes. 6 minutes per day times 5 times 52 divided by 60 minutes in an hour. An entire year, and you will have lost 26 hours of your entire business working year would be just clicking and taking care of repetitive daily tasks.
Wow.
Yeah. 208 cut down to 26 by simply taking 25 seconds to download a browser extension.
That's insane.
Yeah. Because those little tiny things. Now, here's the fun thing, right? So let's take that 208 just for fun because we love numbers, right? 208 minus that 26 hours. And the average person is making right around $18, $19 an hour. I know most people aren't, but I got to be honest. We went from minimum wage here in Wisconsin. We're still at like $7.25 or $7.50 an hour for minimum wage, which is insane. But McDonald's is paying $19 an hour.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Wow.
For their mid-level. So we'll drop down and just say, hey, maybe you really, really suck at what you do, and you're only making $15 an hour at McDonald's, right? Downloading a simple free extension on Google Chrome browser could save you $2,730 in lost time.
Wow. That's crazy.
Making what's minimum wage here in the US in many states.
Wow.
Saving $3,000 just by saying, how can I make more effective use of my click time? And that's just click time, folks.
Wow.
That's not how much time you're checking your notifications just to see if anybody might have commented on something that you put out on social media.
That's just that little click.
Or checking the weather to see what the weekend might look like in 5 days. See, I'm an old Wisconsin country boy. You want to know what the weather's going to be in 5 days? 5 days from now, you get your butt out of bed, you walk out, and you look out the window. That'll give you a brief idea of what the weather's going to be like. If you want an in-depth forecast, take your butt and walk outside. Hey, if it's cold, it's cold. If you get wet, it's raining. Okay, it's not hard. Like, because the weather's going to change by the time the weekend gets in here anyway. So why are you looking at your forecast? You should be working on something that's actually going to move the needle. If you need a break, don't distract yourself with something. Do something really weird. You say, okay, I'm getting a little bit overwhelmed. Sit back, adjust your camera, get comfortable. All right. And go back to work and do what is essential.
Because that kind of gave you the time to decompress a little bit, right?
10 seconds, readjust the body. It releases the tension in the body. A nice deep breath increases oxygenation. Oxygenation in the blood increases your energy and your focus in your mind, which will give you greater clarity. Greater clarity will be greater focus. You're right back up here at that peak point. Get your butt back to work.
Okay. Because that was a question I actually had for you. Like, we've talked about how long the work segments could be, but what about the breaks?
Okay, so your break is only needs to be as long as it takes to get back on track. When I was doing construction and younger, we were busting out the concrete out of basics and basements and pouring new concrete in by hand, hauling old concrete out in 5-gallon buckets and bringing the wet stuff back down in 5-gallon buckets. Wow. And we had what was called a 5-minute bucket break. If you can't keep moving, sit down for 5 minutes and get your butt back up and go to work. Now, if you're doing hard labor and you only and it was proven 5 minutes was about optimal. Too much more than that, now all of a sudden the lactic acid starts setting in. You start feeling, like, hey, this feels really good. Next thing you know, 45 minutes are gone and you don't have a job. You know, we had one guy when we were moving, we gave him a 5 minute bucket break. They're like, man, if you can't keep going, just sit down on a box and, take a break. He found a bucket, 5 gallon bucket that was in the garage. He propped it up next to the wall, sat down, and went. I don't know what he looked like when he woke up, but I'm sure he was pretty shocked to find out the moving truck had left.
Oh my.
Yeah, we left him there. And it was an empty house, I'll tell you that. People had already moved out and all the belongings were gone. It was just an empty shell of a home. And he was sitting on a 5 gallon bucket, sleeping on the side of the house.
Oh wow.
And we didn't have a qualm about it because we're there to work as a team, not take a nap while everybody else works.
Right.
And he called up and he was like, well, there's got to be some sort of disciplinary action. They left me out in the middle. And he says, well, why would they pick you up? You don't work here.
Mm.
What do you mean? He says, well, they called up and they said, hey, dude's sleeping on the job. How do you want us to handle that? And he says, he's sleeping? And they said, yeah. He's fired. I was like, well, what do you want us to do with him? I don't know. He doesn't work for us. Let him sleep.
Right.
So we left him there. Now, granted, he wasn't, 40 miles out in the middle of nowhere. That spot was actually about 2 blocks from the bus line. But it's not like we stranded the guy somewhere.
Right.
But it was like lesson learned. And so it doesn't take long to give yourself a little bit of a recoup break. Just say, stop for a minute, take a few deep breaths, center yourself and say, okay, it's getting a little distracted. That's unimportant. I got to get back to what's essential. What's essential right now? Identify what it is, take another breath, focus in, and go back to work. Okay. The longer you stay away from work, the longer it's going to take to get you back focused on work. You don't want to lose that flow state.
Mm-hmm.
If you give yourself too much time, your mind will start to wander. And now you'll have to get yourself back on track. Just stop and be intentional. I'm not stopping my work. I'm refocusing. Give myself a little bit of oxygen and then focus. And that's really all it takes. How long do you take? Like I've told you, I work for about 47 minutes and then I take a little break. Why? Because it's optimal for me. Everybody is a little bit different. You'll find that rhythm when you're starting to be intentional about it. Gotcha. But being intentional about something will let you know, hey, why do I keep feeling this way at this time all the time? If it's 2:15 in the afternoon and every day you start realizing it's about 2:15 that you start getting distracted, pay attention to what's going on around you. Maybe you'll find out at 2:10 the bus dropped the kids off next door. And you realize there's something that caused a distraction. Cool. So what do? You say, okay, at 2:05, I'm going to give myself a little bio break. I'm going to go down, get a drink of water, use the bathroom, take a little break. And that way something isn't distracting you from what you're doing. You've instituted something intentionally to help you stay more focused and on track. Because there's nothing worse than being flow state in the middle of writing an article or something and then having to go to the bathroom. You come back and you stare at the screen, you're like, it's really good, but I forgot where I was going with that. Set that up intentionally ahead of time. And you'll find that you won't be distracted as much. You'll get more done in less time. You'll have more time to enjoy the life that you've had, and your profitability and effectiveness in your business will go up. Why? Simply because you pay attention.
That makes a lot of sense.
Intentionality is the first step to focus and clarity. Because if you're not intentional about finding your focus and you're not intentional about being clear, then you're not going to get either one of those. But if you find clarity about what should be done and you focus on it intently, you're going to do it in far less time than you used to do. And you're going to do one of two things: have a whole lot more free time, or you're going to spend just as much time that you used to do it, but you're going to have twice the results.
That makes a lot of sense.
I tell you, once you realize you're figuring out how to do that, split it. Work 3/4 of the time that you used to do and have a little bit more time. Now you're going to get better results and more free time at the end to enjoy your results.
Okay.
Because I firmly believe, and people will want to argue with it all they want, and I really don't care. They go blow it out their ear for all I care. if you learn what's most effective, you can double the productivity of a worthwhile result just by being intentional and focused.
That makes a lot of sense.
Easily give you a 2x result, like easily be able to double the results, because we waste 80% of what we do anyway. Is that a hard fact? No, but you get the point. There's a lot of wasted time doing things that keep us busy, and we only
I
spend
can
a
speak to
small
that.
yeah, right, we only spend a small fraction of that time actually doing the things that are getting us the result that we need, instead of all the results we think we want. Because
Right.
when we get all the results that we want, we sit back and we're like, I just don't get it. I've been doing this, I've been getting this and this and this and this, but my business isn't growing. And sometimes, and there'll be one of the people I work with is probably going to laugh, shake his head, and feel shamed about this for a second, but that's okay. They're going to go do all that work, and they're like, man, I'm doing all this, and I'm doing this, and I'm doing this, and I'm doing this, and I'm doing this, and I'm like, okay, how many people did you talk to about your product? Well, I'm trying to know. How many people did you talk to? How many sales conversations did you have? How many new people have you introduced to your offer? Well, I'm trying to work on, this or that in my business. Yeah, but if nobody knows about it, well, no, my audience already knows about it. I'm like, yeah, but the ones that were going to buy it in your audience already did. You have to talk to new people, because that's going to be one of those needle movers, right? A new eyeball is a new opportunity to serve someone. Old eyeballs is an opportunity for y'all to hang out because you like each other and support each other and make yourselves feel good about each other, even though nobody's being successful in their business. But at least you guys feel good about it because you're working towards your goals together. Like, it's foolishness, in my opinion. And I can get caught in that trap too. Right? I mean, you've known it. We'll sit down. We've talked for 2 hours straight.
Oh, yeah,
And
for sure.
do we cover stuff? Do we learn? Do we grow? Do we? Yes, absolutely. We hash things out as far as, like business and stuff going on in our life. And if I'm having a bad day, for me, this was an incredibly hard week this week. Incredibly hard week. Like, there's on YouTube that you can watch old TV series.
Yeah.
And we've been going through watching episodes of Andromeda.
Okay.
With old Starship Andromeda. What's his name? He's the guy that played on God's Not Dead. And I can't remember his name. But anyway, he's the captain of this starship that was apparently stuck in a wormhole for 300 years. And when he came, they finally get him out. He's the captain of an old warship that was in the high levels of, this community, the Commonwealth, bringing peace to the galaxies, and the entire Commonwealth was wiped out.
Oh, wow.
By one of the people who is now on his crew, a Nietzschean, right? But it's 300 years later. This man wasn't there during the battle, right? But all of a sudden he's got this person, and Nietzschean is a superior, genetically enhanced human being, and they're all about being a warrior and survival and clans and yada yada, this and that. And the whole story behind the Nietzschean is, as a man, you're to be a warrior, to be strong, to survive, and to have many, many children, to carry on and survive the race.
Right.
Well, Tirasazi, he has no family, he has no home. There's a whole backstory behind it. There is no place for him to go back to. Well, he ends up hooking up with some Nietzschean on an old thing a year prior. We know they did the hibbity-dibbity and had a good time. Well, now we find out in this episode they had a child. And he's supposed to be the Nietzschean Messiah. Well,
Oh boy.
yeah, and so he turned his back on his whole crew and he went down to his, well, all of a sudden this whole other Nietzschean group comes and they kill or whatever. And he's sitting there. And he comes back and he's like, he says they came and they were trying to kill everyone that was genetically enhanced. They were killing everybody. He says, and this other gal who had his baby, in her arms had got shot, and she fell and she died, and he picked up his son, and as they escaped to the ship and they flew out, he says, and I thought to myself, he says, how heroic is my son, my Nietzschean son, didn't make a sound. He says, and as I was flying away, he says, I looked down at my son and I realized that, oh, how stoic he was, and I realized why he was so calm and so still in the midst of the battle. Because my son wasn't alive. I've had a whole week, man, I haven't been able to turn around without thinking about my son Jonathan passing away. And I told my wife this morning, I was like, I just wanted to punch Cheer in the face last night because he made me feel that all over again when I held my son lifeless in my arms, And so I had that really, really hard week. So I had to focus on like, what do I do that's essential in my business?
Right.
Because if I just allow busy work to keep me busy, then all that stuff starts to control what I'm doing. I really can't do that in our situation right now. We're in the middle of, kind of pushing through on a launch, and it's like, how do you cope with all of that? It's real simple. You compartmentalize aspects of your life. You can't deal with that stuff during this time. This is work time. This is communication time. This is follow-up time. This is daddy time. Where this is the time that you need to just deal with that. And then you've got to do things like, and I'm going to speak from a man's perspective to the men that are listening. There's got to be that time where you set it apart and you lay next to your wife and you allow yourself to have those emotions. You say, honey, I don't want to man up and just not have these. I want you to be aware that I'm struggling right now. I want you to know I'm having an incredibly hard week. Because if you're not going to deal with those things will destroy you subconsciously, and everything in your business is going to suffer. It may be something where you end up having an animosity towards dads who still have their kids. Even though I've got other children that are still here with us, if I leave it unchecked, I'm going to have that jealousy, that anxiety every time somebody's like, oh yeah, man, really my real purpose here is I want to build my business so I can spend more time with my son. I'm getting up there. I've only got one son, and, I'm just so blessed. In the back of your mind, you're like, yeah, whatever. That's going to affect that conversation.
Yeah.
So it's important that we stop work so that we can deal with our life and have a better quality of life. Because otherwise, that emotion, it would have taken me over this week. I've been tired, physically just wiped out. I've been pulling some long hours. You, like, even like today before the call, I'll be like, all right, so last week on a call, this person said this. Did you see it the same way I saw it? Because I wanted to double check. It's like, I know what I've been going through. Yep. I don't want that to be the qualifier of how I read what was said in a meeting last week.
Right.
There was this was the reason for that. I had some heavy emotional stuff that I've been dealing with this entire week. And I needed to make sure that I cleared that out before we hopped on a call and we went to business.
Right.
Because, yeah, you're my business partner, but you're also a good friend. You're a trusted confidant. You're somebody I can talk to about these things because these affect our business.
Right.
Keynote quotable, folks. Your business partner should be a friend. Yeah. Okay. If you're not friends with the people that you work with, you should probably check who you're working with. Because if you spend that much time with somebody, you should be friends by now.
Right.
If you're not, probably shouldn't be hanging out with them because you don't resonate. It's just that simple, right? So sure. That compartmentalize is like boundaries. How do we know when to stop working to make sure that our business becomes profitable? We stop working the moment we stop doing the essentials.
Oh, okay.
If it's not essential, you stop. Now, I know your mind might go, but there's a lot of things that could be done for the business that aren't essential. How does that get done?
I
Well,
feel like you're
after you,
talking about the needle movers, though.
yeah, okay, but the essentials are the things that have to get done, what's most effective to move you towards your goals. When
Mhm.
those are done, you stop. Then you assess you, not your business.
Oh, okay.
And you say, is there something essential in me that I have to take care of? What's essential for me that has to be taken care of?
Right.
Because you shouldn't start working until you've dealt with what's necessary for you first. But
Well,
then you're
this.
going to get to working, and that work is probably going to bring something up as you're working through stuff.
Mhm.
Assess that moment and say, is there something that I need to take care of? Do I need to go for a walk? Do I need to go take a 5 minute power nap? Do I need to go down and hug my wife, my mom, my dad? Do I need to pick up the call and just remind my dad, hey, I just wanted to just tell you that I respect you and I love you. I got to get back to work, but I just wanted to let you know. Maybe there's something there that has to be dealt with that came up for some odd reason during work. And then you step back in and you go, okay, cool. That's dealt with. The essentials are done. Now we assess the situation and say, okay, I have a 6 hour block this morning. I've used up 5. I took care of the essential in me. What can I accomplish that will move me ahead of schedule in the next 45 minutes?
Mm.
And then you buckle down and you do some of those things that could be done, but the life won't stop if you don't. you know.
Right.
But if you can get them done, then it's just going to lighten the load and the strain in the business tomorrow. And then you'll have more energy and more focus to put into the needle movers, which will help you exponentially increase your results, your profitability, and your impact in the world. So when it comes down to it, when do I stop? When the essential needle movers, they're done. When the essential work is completed, you stop. Then you reassess yourself and you do what is essential to get you where you need to be so that you can improve the quality of your life. Maybe it's you need to stop, take an hour out of your day and go to the gym. Maybe that's what you need. Get the body pumping, get the joints limbered up, the muscles moving, the stiffness out of the back, and then come down and say, okay, 3 hours left. Cool. What can I do to make tomorrow easier?
Gotcha.
But you notice the difference? One is essential, what must be done.
Mhm.
What must I do for me? What can I do to make tomorrow easy?
Mm. Okay.
Get all of the things that have to be done at the beginning, because there's nothing worse than working 3 quarters of the day and then have a list of things that have to get done before the
Right.
day's over. Because then you end up working 2.5, 3 hours past when you should have. You do silly things which
Wake
cause
up more than
damage to your
willing.
business,
Yeah.
right? Which will cause damage to your business or yourself.
Yeah.
So set those boundaries, set those time frames. We've got a pretty solid one around here. We eat at 6. Sometimes I make it on time. Sometimes I don't. But the goal is to always be there for supper. And if not, we usually have it planned ahead of time. We'd be like, honey, just go ahead and eat. I'm gonna come down afterwards. I've got a call at 5 o'clock. It's, you know me, it could go over. If it does, I don't want y'all sitting down there waiting. So set your boundaries. Give yourself a schedule. Stay within your schedule. If you're like, man, it is 7 o'clock. I work from I work from 11 to 7 every day. It's 7 o'clock. There's these things that still need to get done. Good. Do them at 11 o'clock tomorrow. Stop. Take care of yourself and have a quality of life that you can be happy with. Because there's nothing worse than caring deeply about the people that you work with and constantly watch them push themselves to a burnout point and then just have to disengage from life for 4 days. Because then you have to start back here again to get them back up here where you are.
Yeah.
And that 4 day break takes a week to get to that point where you could have just been tomorrow. So that would be my suggestion. Stop when the essentials are done, reassess you, take care of what must be to give you a better quality of life, and then go back and say, if I have time, what can I do to make tomorrow easier, better, smoother?
I like that. I like that
That's
a
it.
lot.
That's it. It's
Well,
not
I love,
complicated.
not at all, because it takes care of the essentials. You're looking at yourself, and making sure you're good. And I think that's a step so many people miss, as well as the what can I do to make tomorrow easier?
Yeah.
Because I think we're so focused on the essentials,
Hmm.
which can turn into the busy work. Whereas the way you're saying it makes perfect sense of do the essentials for your business. Once those are done, stop, check yourself. And I think that could be considered that self-care piece for
Hmm.
sure.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Because
then, yeah,
it's powerful.
more than I give it credit for.
More than you give it credit for, and less than I give attention to it.
Mm,
You know, the more people that you have depending on you, the harder it is to keep that as a main focus. And as a business owner, it's different than just being, I work from home. As a business owner, we realize other people depend on us. It would crush most people if they realized how many people depend on me showing up every single day. Which is why I show up on a training call with a temperature of 103, 104 degrees,
yep.
and show up and do my best to make sure that nobody realized it. Because I didn't want them thinking about that. I want to think about what we need to be focused on.
Right.
You know, there's like this morning I was like, all I want to do is just go to bed. I just literally the first thing I did when I got up was like, I just want to go to bed. And I couldn't, because I knew that there was a call scheduled that I had to be there for, although I was 99% sure they wouldn't show and wouldn't even cancel. But I had to be there. 99% sure it was a no-go. It wasn't going to happen.
But you had to be
So
there.
I got some work done on the computer while I waited for them to not show up. But why? Because what's the 1% chance they did show up and I wasn't? Drops right down to ground zero and we got to start all over again, right?
Right.
So, that personal integrity of saying, if I'm going to be a business owner, I have to realize that other people rely on me. And if you say, well, I'm a single owner operator, it's just me. Okay. So are you earning an income? Yes. Okay, cool. What are you going to do with that income?
Mm,
What do you do with your income? You're going to pay your bills, right?
right.
You buy food?
Yep.
Yeah. You're going to pay for your internet?
Kind of a
Guess what?
must.
People are depending on you to make those payments so they can get paid, so they can put food in the mouths of their family.
Well,
And you're just one of many, but if you don't do your part and other people don't do their part, people lose their jobs and their homes and their families starve.
well,
So there are people depending on you to show up each and every day and perform at your highest level. Now, people say, I can't work at that optimal pace the way that you do it. I can't go 8, 10 hours. I can't stand up and talk for 7 hours and teach. And I said, well, how long can you? At 100% capacity, how long can you get up and serve someone else? I would ask you that. How long could you optimate high level, high energy, boom? Like, how long could you go?
probably an hour and a half, if I'm being honest, at this
Okay,
point.
then you get up and you do it for an hour and a half focused on the essentials.
Mm,
And then you go, okay. And guaranteed, if you stop and you go, okay, and you get that little readjustment, you can go for another half hour, 45 minutes.
wow.
Because you're not carrying over the tension, you're stopping the tension and starting fresh.
Right.
Now, you're
That
not going to
makes
go for
sense.
another hour and a half, not initially. That takes time, that takes stamina. People used to ask, they're like, why do you bike? Why are you so active? I'm like, dude, if I'm going to be on my feet and I'm going to be able to present for 7 hours, I need to be in physical good condition. Your business results, oh, that just hit home. Your business results are going to be in equal correlation to your physical health.
Ooh, that just hit me. Okay. It
See,
took
that was a
that one.
premonition, y'all. I knew she was going to say that. You're like, oh,
Oh,
you know,
oh,
because that's one we're both of us, both you and I, we struggle with that. Like, I know I want to, I got this stuff in business.
right.
It's hard to, and the moment I said that, and I'm like, you know what? It's kind of funny, but I've got a nice dress shirt hanging on my exercise equipment downstairs, and two T-shirts laid out over the seat for tomorrow's call, prepped so I can get up. It's a clothing rack right now for tomorrow's call when I should be down there using it. But the
Yeah.
reality is, I mean, we got to pay attention to that though. Is our physical health affects our business.
Yep,
Our
it does.
mental health affects our business.
Yeah.
So we've got to take care of those with the same attention and intention that we take care of our business,
Mm,
or it's all going to fail.
right.
You know,
That's
um,
scary.
the canoes. This is something somebody shared with me. I love woodworking. I love handcrafted things, and I watched the entire process as somebody took cedar slats, strips of cedar, and they pieced it together and did an entire canoe,
Wow.
right? And they like individually shaped each piece to form the perfect arches up and taper in and up to a nose, and everything was so perfect and intricately placed. And I remember the guy holding the camera, he says like, so what is it that just calls you to make these cedar canoes with your craftsmanship, with your skills, with the why cedar canoes? What drew you to do that? And he said it's the best picture of what life, society, and culture should look like.
Wow.
If we're not all willing to meet each other on equal terms, without friction, without rough edges, without doing it our way or saying the way that we are is good enough, and we're all willing to shape ourselves together for one purpose, he says we'll stay afloat.
Wow.
But if one of these slats were to say, I refuse to be shaped and I refuse to fit the spot that you want to put me, the entire boat sinks. And I was like, I like that. I'm
Wow.
gonna remember that.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because that's the beauty of it though, is like every piece of your life, that's your boat.
Right.
And you got to make it work and fit together or it's going to sink. You can't just put all of your focus into 3 areas of 4 in your life and have one full of jagged edges. It's going to be a holy boat. By holy boat, I mean you're going to sink and you're going to see Jesus, right? Like
Twofold.
you're going to sink.
Yeah.
So making sure that it's not about finding balance, you'll never find balance in life, but you can find harmony. There's going to be an ebb and a flow. Things are going to call on your time and energy more at one time than another time. But if you're willing to work with that, to flow, to bend, to shift, to pivot, you're going to find that even when you set that structure, you're going to have the flexibility to stretch,
Mm.
but never go outside of the bounds. Like the best kayaks, the best boats, the best buildings, the strongest buildings that survive the greatest earthquakes are not the most rigid structures. They fracture and fall.
Wow.
The ones that last are the ones that allow movement,
Mm.
allow a shift, allow the building to flex and sway. You look at skyscrapers and you'll actually notice them in the wind and they'll move.
I've never looked.
Imperceptible to the people inside of them.
Mm.
But if you make a camera stationary and fix a point, you'll see it move.
Wow.
And most people don't realize that the strongest tree isn't the one that survives the storm. The strongest tree can protect you from the elements, can hold you up, support you, build a house, but the branches that last are the ones that flex and move when the strain comes.
Mm.
The rigid branch will snap and fall. Think about that in your life. Set your boundaries, but don't be afraid to stretch. Don't be afraid to pivot and shift in your life. Maybe it's a 9 to 5. That's, I'm going to work from 9 to 5. Okay, work from 9 to 5, but maybe tomorrow it makes sense to work from 8:30 to 4:30 because somebody's coming at 5 and you got to have a meal prepped.
Right.
Be able to be flexible. Today, my wife shot me a message. She was like, "Hey, do you mind if I take the 2 kids and run up to the grocery store, drop off some books at the library while our baby takes a nap?" And I'm like, "Sure, no problem." So I shifted some things, rescheduled some things here in my workplace, and I went downstairs, and my wife's sitting at the table having lunch. And I'm like, she goes, "Oh no, I meant later on when I put her down for a nap." And I'm like, "My bad, sorry, honey." It's not like she did anything wrong. She was just thinking later on in the day, but nothing broke.
Right.
Something came up, and I was like, "Okay, we'll just shift a few things. We'll pivot. We'll stretch some things out." This call today, we started half an hour later than we normally would.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because we got an invite to become part of a kind of an interesting little get together gathering of networking, right?
Yep.
And really, we gathered together and we hung out and we met some really cool people and played some trivia online. We got done in plenty of time to get here, and the guy that wants is, "Unless y'all want to challenge me for another round." So we all said yes.
Yeah.
We shifted. We says, "You know what? This is really cool. This is important to connect with people." Because let's face it, 99.999% of all the people watching this video right now are not watching it live.
Yeah.
They're going to watch it later on. So us not being there at a specific time isn't hurting anybody. Not to mention, we didn't put any posts out and say, "Hey, we're going live at 3 o'clock Central Time this Friday." So therefore, we're not out of integrity. It's just we planned to do this around 3 o'clock. Okay, well, we shifted our plan, but we didn't make anybody else shift because they didn't know what time we were doing it anyway. But finding those ways that we can shift and move in our lives is going to be vital to be able to moving forward. Now, increase profitability, quit when the essentials are done, reassess who you are, where you are, and what it is that you need. Once you addressed any of those specific needs, then go back to the business and say, what could make, if you have time left over, what could make tomorrow better, smoother, easier? And then at the end of your time block, that's the boundary. That's where you stop. And then go enjoy your life. Take care of you. Stretch out on the couch, watch your movie, throw on your hiking boots and go for a walk in the woods. Hop on a bike. Yeah, hop on a bike and go for a ride in town. Sit on the front porch and listen to the wind. Whatever it takes to make you happy. But enjoy your life, because that is what will inspire you and spur the creativity to become better in your business, whatever it may be. Whether it be coaching, whether it be hammer and nails, doesn't matter. You're going to see something in life that's going to allow you to do your job better if you're experiencing life. That's how we grow. Look at a child. They start their learning by experiencing, not processing, not memorizing. They experience life. Don't forget the zest of experiencing life. Just paying attention, looking around. I wouldn't recommend chewing on the electrical cords like some babies, but look around. Enjoy life and enjoy your time doing that. So if there's anything that you'd like to add for our audience today, Krista?
I mean, I think I'm as blown away as anyone who's watching this is going to be, but I think my biggest takeaway is live your life, because you can fit everything into it. And there's no such thing as balance. It's flow. And it's so important to live. I think that's what it comes down to.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, with that, hey, y'all, there is beauty, there is grace, and there is greatness within you. Now go and unleash that in the world today. You guys have an amazing week. We look forward to seeing you next week here, approximately 3 o'clock Central Time. And we're going to just continue on with these Pinpoint coaching sessions. We look forward to it. If you haven't yet, go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below. Join us. Make sure you hang out. We're going to have some really great content coming out, help you move forward in your business, whether it be affiliate marketing, owning your own product, being a coach, provider, whatever it may be. We're going to offer some insights that are going to help you to grow both in your business and in your life. So with that, you guys have an amazing day. Stay blessed, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye now.